We'll wait for another few seconds and then I will start with the episode 12 summary. I'll just run through it and then we'll come to episode 13, the new one. It's a little bit different from the others. Now this one hasn't got a lot of slides. This one will be a lot of to do with science as well. So you might clear some of your issues and problems that you have while listening to this. We'll see. Okay, let's start. It's 6:30. So in episode 12 we looked at Chullavedalla Sutra to understand about the impermanence and the problem in using impermanence. So we learned that impermanence not only gives suffering, but it also gives a pleasure. So we can't say impermanence gives suffering only, because it gives a pleasure too. So in here in the Chullavedalla Sutra it explains Sukako auso visaka vedana titi sukha viparinama dukkha. Dukkha vedana titi dukkha viparinama sukha. So what that meant was, if there was a sukha vedana, a pleasurable feeling, if it was permanent, then it would have given pleasure. But if it was to change or to become viparinama, then it will give you a suffering. On the other hand, dukkha vedana titi dukkha, if a dukkha vedana, if there was a suffering, a pain, and if that was permanent, that would have given you a pain. But if it was to change or to become viparinama, that would have given you a pleasure. So that is why using impermanence is not right. Then we moved on to Ajjanicca Sutra. There we learnt about Yada Nicchan Tan Dukkhan Yan Dukkhan Tadanatta. That's where the translation went wrong. Yada Nicchan, there is a link between these three. Yada Nicchan, if something was to be anicca, then it becomes dukkha. If something was to be anicca and dukkha, it is anatta. So we learnt about that. We know what anicca, dukkha and anatta is now. And we learnt about the discrepancy. We learnt that there was a discrepancy if we use the incorrect words, which is impermanence, or if we use the no self, then there is a problem in those, right? So therefore we need to use the correct words, which is anicca, which is not fulfilling, dukkha, which is the suffering, and anatta is no point, no value in it, right? Then we also looked at anatta and anatta and anatma. Oh yeah, we looked at anatta and anatma. So the two words, one is anatta, which is worthless or useless or valueless, and the other one was selfless or no self, right? In the Sabbasava Sutra Majjhima Nikaya 1, we learnt Tassa evaṁ ayoniso manasikaro chānam dittam antara ditti uppajjati. So what they were saying is, for a person who is thinking with the ayoniso manasikara, that person comes into two ditti or two views, which are there is a self or there is no self. So both of these are incorrect. That's what we learned. Concentrating on selflessness is a wrong view of the mundane people, or in other words, puthajjana. We moved on to 4 conditions to attain Sotapanna. We looked at the Dutiya Sariputta Sutra. The first one was Satpurusa Sansevane, then Saddharma Shravane, Yoniso Manasikara, and Dharmanudharma Pratipada. We learnt who a Satpurusa is. A Satpurusa can be identified by only a Satpurusa. That's also something that we learnt. And then a Satpurusa is a noble person who has understood the Dhamma, who has comprehended Dhamma, or who is a Sotapanna. Then we looked at Saddharma. What is Saddharma? Saddharma is Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. So that is what we learned. Then we looked at Yoniso Manasikara. What is Yoniso Manasikara? Tattakatama Ayoniso Manasikara. They looked at Ayoniso Manasikara to understand Yoniso Manasikara. Anicce Nicchanti Ayoniso Manasikaro. Dukke Sukhanti Ayoniso Manasikaro. Anatte Attanti Ayoniso Manasikaro. So if someone was to think Nicca Sukha Atta, or if someone was to take Anicca as Nicca, or Dukkha as Sukha, or Anatta as Atta. So if someone was to take it incorrectly, then that person is thinking in Ayoniso Manasikara. So what is Yoniso Manasikara is Anicca Dukkha Anatta. That we understood. Then we looked at Dhammanudhamma Pratipada. What is Dhammanudhamma Pratipada? After understanding the Anicca Dukkha Anatta, practicing this is Dhammanudhamma Pratipada. But practicing Anicca Dukkha Anatta, right?